Good morning everyone, welcome to our latest game. We had such a great reaction to our last ECW battle, the Battle of Marston Moor, we've decided to do a second ECW game and use some of my terrain boards rather than our usual terrain mats we use. So hopefully you like the look of this game. The terrain boards are great, they're not hugely flexible because I've only got a certain number of them, but they create a nice visual impact. So we're going to do the Battle of Philiphaugh, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Scotland in 1645, where Montrose is confronted by a Covenanter army. It's a relatively balanced battle, so some of the Covenanter forces, unlike some of the battles in 1645 where a lot of the Covenanter forces were very raw, this particular force had a mixture of veteran line and newly raised units for the Covenanters, including one of the units that had fought at Marston Moor. They're facing off against the Montrose force, which includes 2 regiments of Irish troops that came over at the start of the campaign from Ireland. They rate as veterans, they fought really effectively. We've also got, in addition to our Irish troops, we have a unit of Irish dragoons as well. Now, these line troops are supported by Highlanders, the MacDonald clan amongst others, which are newly raised. These are pretty raw troops, so they're in the Warhammer English Civil War rules you can make the Highlanders pretty much unstoppable by giving them lots of veteran fighters in the front couple of ranks. So these are newly raised Highland levies, so they're relatively weak in hand-to-hand combat. So we'll see how they do in this game today. We have the Gordon Horse. These will count as veterans. They performed extremely well for Montrose and his forces. We got some Highland shot hidden away on this hill. And then we've got the Strathbogy foot. So this will be a line regiment of foot fighting for the Royalists. Now facing off against them, we have the Covenanter forces. We have 2 regiments of cavalry here, one armed with lancers. We then have our 5 regiments of foot, pike and shot. The 2 larger ones at the back are both levies. The one in the centre is the veteran unit that fought at Marston Moor, and the 2 on the flanks on the front row are line units. The Covenanters have just crossed a river and so have their backs to a river, so when they retreat, what happened in the actual battle was they got defeated by Montrose's forces and then routed and took massive casualties as they were unable to flee across the river. So we'll see whether Charlie can repeat that victory for the Montrose forces and the Royalists here in Scotland. We have another small unit of Lancers on the right flank of the Covenanter forces, some commanded shot, and up against the mountainous edge of the valley we have a unit of Dragoons. They are also faced off by some of the newly arriving Highland foot for Montrose. Alright, hope you enjoyed this game. It'll be traditional cut and thrust of Warhammer English Civil War, so I'm sure it'll be very bloody and quick. We'll get on with the game. Charlie, do you have any initial thoughts or reflections on how you want to play the game, or what you're going to do with your deployment?
So I'm going to keep my troops at the same place, but I'm going to make it so my infantry's blocking the pikes from getting shot. So when you run out of ammo, they can go up front, so you can't do any more damage to them. So, and also, I want to keep 1 unit of infantry, like rifles like this, to not shoot a single shot. So when you run out of ammo, what you definitely will eventually run out, I can fire them. They will be completely fresh, so I can start firing them.
Cool. Let's see how it goes. All right, we'll crack on with turn 1. Okay, so normally 5s to hit, but first turn of firing, so 4s to hit, 5 because of over half range, 4s because it's first turn. Okay, that is 1 hit, 2 hits for the Irish, and strength 4 for muskets, and I think the Irish Dragoons are toughness 4. We'll check that in a second, we'll roll first. We get a 2, so it would be a miss anyway, and a 5, which will be a wound. 1 roll for the Dragoons, but I think it'll be a save At -2 for a musket, so unless you get a 6, I don't think you'll get a save, and you probably won't get one anyway. It's a 6, alright, we'll just check to see whether you get a save. Alright, that's it for the Covenanters. Charlie, over to you, movement for the Royalists. Any charges to declare first?
No.
No? And what about your Gordon Horse over on the far right flank, Charlie?
No.
You don't want to charge with them? If you get charged, it's much worse.
I'll move back so you can't charge me.
Okay. Alright, so just some tactical adjustments by the Montrose forces, being uncharacteristically cautious. The Gordon Horse have stepped back a bit. Make sure they're out of charge range from that mass of Covenant cavalry up there at the bottom of the ridge. As we look across, Charlie's moved his mounted Irish to threaten the dragoons that are skirmishing on his flank and stepped slightly back with his own clan of Highlanders on this flank.
Also,
Otherwise, nothing's moved. And you're not firing anything, Charlie, this turn?
No, but I remember finding out something that the main commander of the whole Parliament forces, for the next civil war, he joined the Royalists and fought in there. Mostly, he was in command most of their army.
Ah, right. Who was that?
I forgot his name, but I remember hearing it from somewhere.
All right, cool. Okay, so on with turn 2 for the Covenanters. Okay, so looking down from the mountaintop, we can see that the Covenanter dragoons in skirmish formation have moved across from these woods down here, across the stream and into the cover of those woods there to threaten the Highlanders that are on the board edge. We'll have another volley from our commanded shot up on this hill. We've moved our Lancers to threaten the rear of this unit of Irish dragoons, although we might get charged in the flank if the Irish can charge cavalry in the flank. I've got a feeling they might be able to. That might have been a tactical mistake. And otherwise, we've moved the rest of the Covenanter forces forward again. Again, not opening fire. Looking forward to a devastating volley if and when we unleash it next turn. And on the far left flank, the Covenanter cavalry has continued to manoeuvre. Our unit of Lancers threatening the Gordon Horse, and the other unit threatening the Clansmen on the hill. Right, that's it for the Covenanter turn. Now on to the Royalists and Montrose. Yeah, I've just checked the special rules, and Montrose was so short of cavalry. His foot often had to closely support his own cavalry units, and indeed did charge horse on occasion. So unlike any other units in the game, Highlanders in Montrose's forces or his Irish brigade can indeed charge cavalry units. So we may well see the musketeers charge in, although conversely, a volley from both of those units would have a pretty devastating effect. So alright, let's move on with this turn, starting with movement for Montrose. Okay, so Montrose has gone offensive. The Gordon Horse have charged forward into the Lancers, so we'll see how that plays through. There will be a defensive volley from the pistol shots of the Lancers being trotters as they receive that charge. The Highlanders will be opening fire against the cavalry unit that are threatening them. And then as we move across, there will be a volley rippling out from all of the Irish. Montrose is desperately short of ammunition. They may well just simply get one volley off in the game, and then we'll see what happens after that. They'll have to go on the offensive to try and break these Covenanter forces. Let's see how we do in firing. Okay, so the Scottish Lancers open up with their pistol shots. They normally need 5 to hit. First turn of firing makes it 4s, but they are firing at a charging enemy, so it goes back up to 5s. I'll just check whether they get an adjustment for under half range as well. Okay, so it's a penalty for firing at long range rather than the bonus for close range. So that will be, just to remind ourselves, 5s to hit normally, 4s for first turn, 5s because the enemy is charging. 6 pistol shots. Wow, that's pretty good. That's 3 hits. Pistols are only strength 3 against toughness 4, so it'll be 5s to wound. 2 wounds against the Gordon Horse, and probably saves of 6s. We get 2 4s, that'll be no saves, 2 casualties, and indeed a panic test for 25% casualties on the Gordon Horse. They roll a 3. Okay, our clan here is now going to open fire. They count as 2 clan leaders. They have a ballistic skill of 3, and the rest of the clan, half of them, are equipped with carbines. So we can fire 2 figures from the front rank with carbines, and we can fire the 2 nobles as well. So the carbine equipped colleagues only have a range of 16, but the horsemen are within the 16-inch range. Carbines only have a strength of 3. So firing first turn will be a 5 needed, normally 4s because it's first turn of firing. These are the carbines. We get a 3 and a 1. They both miss. Highland gentlemen will need 4s to hit, normally 3s because it's first turn of firing. They get 1 hit, strength 4, toughness 3, so 3s to wound. Now, unfortunately, they roll a 2, so no wounds on this unit of cavalry. Okay, so the Highland shot are now going to open fire against the same unit. They are ballistic skill 2, so they need 5s to hit normally. First turn of firing, they're going to fire all 8 of them, so that will be 8 shots needing 4s. That's a bit better. They get 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Strength 4, toughness 3, so this will be 3s to wound. That's 2 wounds against the cavalry unit, and they are firing muskets, so there'll be no saves, but it's not 25% casualties, so the cavalry unit don't need a test. Just correct that, that will be a salvo because they fired both ranks, and it was at short range, so that will indeed be a test against this cavalry unit. Leadership of 7, a 6, they pass. Alright, let's move on to the Strathbogy Regiment. They're going to open fire, 1 against this unit of pike, the red flagged unit, which is the veteran unit in the Covenanter army, and the second one will fire against this unit, splitting it against 2 different regiments, trying to cause panic tests against both those regiments with our salvos. So Strathbogy Regiment opening up. They are steady troops, ballistic skill of only 2, so they need 5s to hit, but 4s for first turn of firing, going against this regiment first. That's pretty terrible, but hopefully we will still cause a panic test. We want to break up this attack. So that's 2, wounding on 3s. 1 wound, there will have to be a panic test, and 1 of the Covenanter musketeers is killed. Okay, we'll take their panic test straight away. These are regular troops, so I believe that leadership's 7. They roll a 5, they are fine and can carry on. Alright, we'll open up against the veteran pikeman here. Again, 8 shots, needing 4s to hit. A bit better, we get 4 hits. Okay, and then to wound. These will be 4s to wound because these will be a higher toughness being veterans. Wow, that's pretty good. That's 4 wounds, 4 dead pikemen, and there will be a salvo-driven break test on this unit. Veterans, so assume the leadership will be 8. Again, they pass their test, but 4 pikemen fall. Okay, and then we'll fire our final volley against this particular regiment. This will also be going against the pikes, again by another regiment of Irish foot from the 2nd regiment. That's much better. 6 hits. And again, 3s to kill against the pikemen. Again better, that's 4 more dead pikemen. Let's take the leadership test from receiving the salvo and suffering. How many casualties have we suffered? We have now covered 6, 7, 8, and that's definitely a great test for them. But again, they easily pass. Alright, a great set of morale tests by the Covenanters. They're feeling up for this battle. Okay, the final of the Montrose main battle line will open fire. They're going to fire against this unit of lancers in the flank. Again, 8 shots. And again, they will be needing 3s to hit. Still higher than average number of misses. 5 hits. Again, these are raw, these ones, so this will be a 3s to wound. That's pretty good. 4 dead cavalry and definitely a break test for this unit. My God, they pass again. Okay, the Highlanders over here are going to open up against the skirmishers in the woods. They will normally need a 5 to hit for the on their carbines for the normal rabble. That will become 4s because it's first turn of firing, but they're in skirmish 5s and in the woods 6. So probably won't get anywhere, but we'll give it a go. So 2 shots needing 6s. No, nothing for them, and 2 5s for the Highland gentlemen in that unit. No effect from them. Alright, that's it. That's the end of firing for this turn. On to hand-to-hand combat in turn 2. Gordon Horse charge in against those lancers. Now I know I removed casualties from the rear, so I assume this means I still get to attack with 4 of the Gordon Horse. Okay, so they will strike first. They will be hitting on 3s, as they are veterans going against the lancers. Although I think there might be a -1 for attacking cavalry with lances. Now, being caught stationary, the lance gives no benefit to the Scottish Covenanter unit. They simply get +1 strength when they charge. Alright, so we'll be hitting on 3s, firstly with the sword attacks from the Gordon Horse. Again, not rolling well for the Montrose forces this turn, that's 2 hits. And then with their pistol shots, again needing 3s, a bit better. 3 hits with the pistol shots. It'll be 4s to wound for both sets of attacks, so with the sword strokes, that's 1 wound, and then with the pistol shots, 1 wound. Pretty terrible. The sword, a sword attack will just be a normal save for the lancers, but -1 for the pistol shots. So I think that'll be no save for the pistol, and indeed the save fails, so that's 2 lancers fall. Okay, so the lancers will need 4s to hit back. They can attack with all 6 in the front rank, and they get +1 for their leader. Wow, that's a good roll. Pretty good roll anyway. That's 4 hits, and then it'll be strength 3 against toughness 4, so it'll be 5s to wound. 1 wound against the Gordon Horse. Let's see if they can save. They will need a 6 to save. No, that's 1 casualty. And then we get the pistol shots from the lancers. I assume they get to do this again, as well as firing the pistols when they charged in. Wow, that's a terrible roll. That's only one hit. And then this will be a 5 to wound. No wounds. Alright, so that's 1 casualty to the lancers. The lancers do get a bonus of 1 because being trotters they get to count a rank bonus and the gallopers don't. So I think this combat will be a draw and there won't be an automatic auto break on the lancers despite having suffered more casualties in the combat. Okay, and there is one more modifier which I have forgotten, which in Warhammer English Civil War you get a bonus of 1 if you outnumber the enemy. So with the outnumbering result and the extra rank bonus, the Lancers have actually won this combat and the Gordon Horse need to take a break test. They roll an 8. I think they've lost combat by 1. I think they break. Yeah, great result for the Covenanters here. They've broken the Gordon Horse. Let's see how far the Gordon Horse flee. They flee 16 inches. That will be off the table. Let's see how far the Lancers pursue. They don't actually catch them. They go 9 inches forward, and there will be a break test on that unit of Highlanders, although the Highlanders outnumber by more than 2 to 1 the Gordon Horse, so I think they are potentially exempt from the break test. I will just check that and check the range also to the Highland shot. Okay, so the Covenanter Horse have broken through. The Highlanders outnumbered the remaining unit of Gordon Horse by more than 2 to 1, so they didn't have to take a test. And this small unit of Highland shot that wouldn't have been outnumbering 2 to 1 is more than 12 inches away from that combat over there, so they are fine. Alright, that's it. That's the end of turn 2. Not a great one for Montrose. Did some good damage on this right flank and against the Lancers, but not a single one of the Covenanter units has hesitated so far. And their stoutness is well founded given the success they have with their cavalry on the left. Alright, Covenanters to move in turn 3. Okay, again, it's looking good for the Covenanter forces here. So, having survived that devastating volley in the flank, the remnants of that Lancer unit have charged the Irish Dragoons in the rear. That will be damaging for them. Otherwise, if we move over to the left flank, rather than charging straight in with our swordsmen here, we have reformed our lancers to threaten the flank of this Highland clan and threaten it in the front, so pinning it in place and hopefully destroying it in the charge next turn. And otherwise you can see I've put all these counters down as we're going to salvo with the whole Covenanter front line against these rabble forces. Let's see how we do as we move on to firing in turn 3 for the Covenanter forces. Okay, starting with these commander shots down here, veterans and steady all need 5s to hit normally, it'll be 4s for first turn of firing. Let's just check the range here. Make sure we are within 12. We are not within 12. Okay, so it'll be 5s for this unit to fire. And be given that the Highlanders are also I'm giving them light cover because they're in and amongst those rocks on the hill. We actually need 6 for this unit to fire. This could be a bit of a wasted volley. Let's see how they're doing anyway. 1 hit. It'll be 3s to kill the Highlanders. No effect from this volley. Alright, we will also open fire as well with the pistol shots from this unit of cavalry. Let's see if they are in range. Again, unfortunately, another wasted volley this time because they are just not in range. Okay, shot done. Right, let's do this sleeper shot in the centre, going against the Strathbogy foot. We will choose to fire at the musketeers. They are masking the pikemen. So this will be a 5 normally, 4s because it's first turn of firing. We get 3 hits. And then the Strathbogy are just regular troops, so it'll be 3s to kill. That's pretty good. That's 3, and that will be a discipline test as they've taken casualties from a salvo. Firing our second volley against the next set of Strathbogy foot. Again, needing 5s normally, 4s because it's first turn of firing, so 4s to hit. Done pretty well, got 5 hits, 3s to kill. Only 2 kills on this particular flank. Okay, let's roll the salvo-driven leadership test. We do have the support of Montrose standing by the Strathbogy Regiment. Let's see how we do. We roll a 6. We're fine. They stand up to that volley. Okay, so let's do the 2 salvos here in the centre against the 2 sleeves of Irish shot. Okay, we'll roll both up together, rolling the left-hand sleeve, rolling the right-hand sleeve. Again, we need 4s to hit. So the left-hand sleeve has done much better. Okay, let's roll the left-hand sleeve. This will be toughness 4, strength 4, so 4s to wound and indeed kill against the Irish. Alright, that's 3 kills against that regiment. And then roll the second salvo. Again, 4s to wound. 1 wound, 1 kill against the right-hand regiment. Again, a salvo test for the Irish. Okay, so let's do their leadership test. It's on leadership test. 8, they are fine. Alright, now let's do the final volley, which is from this last sleeve of shots. 6, 7, 8 dice as they open fire up against another one of the Irish sleeves. Okay, oh wow, that's tremendous. That's 6 hits. Okay. 4 cause casualty. That's a bit better. 3 more casualties, and this will be a leadership test against this unit. Let's just do it now. They roll a 6. They are alright, so no one's broken to all of these salvos. I'll take the casualties off. Okay, so we've done the firing down here. A couple of casualties caused by those dragoons in the woods. Now the important stuff. Let's do this charge as the Covenanter Lancers hit the Irish in the rear. This will be painful. Okay, so we get 5 lance attacks, weapon skill 3 against a weapon skill of 4 or 5, so they will be hitting on 4s. Wow, that's good. 4 lance hits, and these will be strength 4, toughness 4, because they get the strength bonus for their lances. That's 4s to wound. That is 1 killed dragoon. Okay, and then pistol shots, needing 4s to hit. Terrible. Okay, so no hits from the pistol. So that's 1 casualty on the Dragoons. The Dragoon rear rank, 3 figures, get to fight back. Okay, so fortunately for the Irish, they are stubborn, which will help them in any future discipline test to come. They don't get to fight back with their leader or standard bearer because they're not in the rear rank, and they lost a casualty, so they only get 3 attacks back. They will be hitting on 3s. All 3 hit. They will be wounding on 4s. They do 1 wound. There will be a save of 6 on the Lancers. No, that's 1 casualty on the Lancers. Fortunately for the Irish, stubborn troops automatically pass their first break test, so they remain in combat with the Lancers. Right, turn 4 for the Montrose. Still things very much in the balance, not looking good on that flank, on the Highlanders left, as the Irish are still pinned by those Lancers to their rear, and we have rampaging Montrose Covenant cavalry on the Highlander right flank. What are they going to do? Let's do charges and movement in turn 3 for Montrose. Okay, so we've charged and moved. The Highlanders on the right flank have pulled back slightly to protect their flanks against the cavalry charges that may come in against them, and their musketeers remain in that woody and rocky bluff, pretty safe, I think, from being charged. In the centre, the Strathbogy Regiment, with its full strength pike block, has moved forward to threaten the Covenanter line. Whereas on the right flank, the Irish have gone for it. All of their musketeers have charged forward. They used up all their ammunition. They've swung their muskets around. They're wielding them by the barrel and looking to whack all those Covenanters around the head with the stocks of their muskets, supported by their pike blocks. The Highlander unit that was in reserve is starting to redeploy to the left to potentially fill any gap that appears between the rocky bluff and the Strathbogy Regiment if it doesn't survive another attack by these Covenanter forces. Given the Covenanters salvoed this turn, the Irish have gone straight in. There's no defensive volley. On the right flank, the Highlanders have simply moved forwards, starting to threaten those Dragoons in the woods. They'll be able to charge them next turn unless the Dragoons move, and we remain in combat down here between the Irish and the Lancers. Alright, there'll be no firing as the Highlanders are now really short of ammunition, and they're going to save any remaining shots they've got, and the Strathbogy and Irish have fired off all their shots and gone on the offensive. Let's move straight on to hand-to-hand combat in turn 3 for Montrose. Right, so there are no leaders in the musketeer units. They're all in the pike blocks behind, but we'll attack. We'll be hitting on 3s for the Irish. Okay, 3 hits for the right hand unit, and it'll be 4s to kill the opposing musketeers. Okay, 2 musketeers struck down on the Covenanter side. Covenanters get to strike back. Again, no leaders in this unit, so it'll just be simply 2 shots. They do both hit, but it'll be 5s to wound. No wounds. Okay, so we're at -2 so far in this combat. Okay, we'll now do the left-hand attack. 3 of the Irish going in, again needing 3s to hit. They only unfortunately hit once, and 4s to wound, no wounds. Okay, so we get 4 Covenanter attacks back, needing 4s. 1 hit and 5s to wound, no wounds on the left-hand sleeve. Now for the fight in the centre. 4 Irish going in, needing 3s to hit. 3 hits and 4s to kill the pikemen. No strikes against the pikemen. Pikemen do get a few more attacks back because we have a leader and we can use what's left of our second rank. Okay, so we need 4s to hit with the pikemen. They've done pretty well. 4 hits, and then need 5s to wound. 1 wound against the Irish. Right, because these are regiments, both sides get to count their standards, and the Irish have 1 by 1, and they also outnumber the Covenanters. So this is a leadership test at -2 on the Covenanters. They hang in there. Okay, so the action's holding up now, so it's turn 4, and the Covenanters are going to charge almost certainly with their Lancers and their other cavalry unit against the Highlanders on the wooded knoll. Whereas, and in the centre we will start going aggressive with our pike blocks Again, our musketeers salvoed last turn, so they can't fire this turn. So it'll be up to the pikes to carry the attack to the Strathbogy Regiment over here. I'm not sure of our chances against the Irish here, so we'll be looking at how we can shore up our second line. And we have the hand-to-hand combat to complete here. Actually, I didn't do that last turn, so we will just, before we move on with movement in turn 4, for the Covenanter forces, we will just do the hand-to-hand combat down here. Those with initiative fight first in this round. I think that, unfortunately, for the Covenanters, will be the Irish. So I believe in the second round of combat, from memory, the leader forces his way to the front rank. So we have 4 attacks by the Irish, plus 1 with the leader. So these will be hitting on 3s. Not great, only 3 hits. Strength 3, toughness 3, so 4s to wound. Wow, no wounds by the Irish. Okay, let's attack back with the Covenanters. Okay, they get their leaders. They hit twice. They do need 5s to wound. 1 wound against the Irish. And there will be a save of 6, which they don't make. But the Irish outnumber the Covenanters, so I think that one will again be a draw. Alright, charging and movement completed. The Scottish Lancers have charged up against that Highland clan on the hill. The Scottish cavalry here have moved up to the Highlanders in the wooded and rocky bluff, noting there's no fire emanating from them, so they're just moving into reasonable range and potentially will have some shots with their pistols. Over here it's slightly complicated, so what happened down here was the pike charged against this unit of commanded shot of the Strathbogy Regiment. Then the pike on the other flank charged the musketeers on the flank of the Strathbogy foot. They took the opportunity to fall back behind their own pike block, and the Strathbogy pike advanced to meet the pikes of the Covenanters and end up in push of pikes. Supporting that attack, another unit of Covenanter shot also went into the Strathbogy pikes. Across here the combat continues, but the unit of the shot of the regiment in the centre here has taken the opportunity to charge into the flank of the Irish here to see if we can help swing the combat in the favour of the Covenanters against the Irish Brigade. Otherwise, over here, the combat with the Irish Dragoons continues in pretty much stalemate. The Covenanter Dragoons themselves are pulling back, being threatened by that unit of clansmen over there, and along with their colleagues on the top of this hill, potentially looking to volley and cause damage to the Irish if they do manage to break out of this combat. Alright, a bit of shooting first, but then we'll move on to hand-to-hand combat in turn 4. Okay, so first we will do our volley from the clan as the Lancers charge in, but I don't anticipate it stopping them. So there'll be 2 shots from the Highland Gentlemen. These need 3s, normally 4s, because they're being charged. Okay, 2 hits. Strength 4, because they use muskets against toughness 3, so it's 3s to wound, double 1, nothing. And then there's 2 carbine shots, 1 hit, doesn't wound. Okay, so the defensive volley does nothing on the attacks by the Lancers. Okay, so we start with the lance attacks. These will hit on 3s. That's really good. And then wound on 3s because they get the bonus strength for charging on each turn. Wow, that's excellent. So that's 5 casualties already on the clan. I think they're going to go. Then we get 6 pistol shots. Hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s. 1 more wound and no save. So that's 6 casualties against the clan. So the clan will get no fights back apart from its leader and its standard bearer. They will both be using double-handed weapons because, hey, why not? Because you're always going to get charged in this game. So they will be hitting on 3s. Because they're both gentlemen, they both hit, and they will be wounding on 2s. That's 3 dead Lancers, because double-handed weapons give a save of -2. So they have lost the combat by 3. But they do have 2 extra ranks. Let's just work this one out. Alright, so this is interesting. So the clan have lost by 3. The Trotters get no rank bonus because they do not have a second rank. The clan, although they've lost complete final rank, they still have a bonus of +2. So that reduces it to a victory by 1 for the Trotters. And the clan outnumber the Trotters. So it is stalemate. Neither side breaks. Combat will continue next turn on this flank. Alright, let's switch across to the other cavalry combat so we don't forget it. So the Irish again go first. They get 5 attacks. They will be hitting on 3s. They all hit this time. That's a bit better. And killing, wounding on 4s. That's 3 wounds on the Lancers. Lancers need 6s to save. Wow! Remarkable. They saved 2. I thought they were all gone. Okay, the Lancers strike back. They are hitting on 4s. 2 hits, pretty good. Wounding on 5s. No wounds. Lancers lose by 1. They are outnumbered. They lose by 2. So this will be a leadership test at -2. If they break, they will not recover as they have less than 5 units. 5 figures. They only have a leadership of 6. They rolled a 7. They are gone and broken. And the Dragoons pursue them. Okay, so quite usefully for the Irish Dragoons, they've been able to move back into the core of their own formation by pursuing those Scottish Covenanter Lancers off the table. Alright, let's start with chargers in this combat. So we first attack with 4 commanded shot who charge this turn. They will be fighting the Irish, they will be hitting on 4s. Wow, that's good rolling. All 4 hit. They will be moving on 5s. Pretty good. 2 dead Irish here. Right, the Irish get to fight next as they have initiative. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, musketeers, 8, 10 musketeers fighting, hitting on 3s. Average roll, I think. And then killing on 4s. On 2. Only 2 casualties against the Covenanters. Okay, the rest of the Covenanters get to fight back. Needing 4s to hit. 5 hits. And then 5s to wound. Pretty good. 3 wounds and 3 kills against the Irish. Not great. Okay, so fortunately, because of the Irish rank bonus, the Irish actually, somewhat surprisingly, have drawn and won this combat. So the white flagged unit caused 3 casualties on the Irish, but the Irish have a rank bonus of +2, and they outnumber the Covenanters. So that takes it to a draw. The left flank, despite charging in and causing those casualties on the Irish, this right flank unit on its own unfortunately loses combat because of the rank bonus that the Irish get from that large pipe block in support. So they had to take a break test, which they pass, so they carry on fighting. Alright, let's do the next hand-to-hand combat as we charge in against the Strathbogy Regiment. Doing the pipe block first, only the front 2 ranks of pikes can fight in hand-to-hand combat if they charged, which indeed they did, but there are only 2 ranks here, so we get all 9 attacks, including the leader. Alright, this is a straight fight, trained troops against trained troops, so it'll be 4s and 4s, so only 2 hits for the Covenanters, which cause 1 casualty on those musketeers, and then 2 musketeers will get to fight back, which both miss. Alright, we've won that combat. So the musketeers will test on James Graham's leadership, Montrose's leadership. He's just behind them, he's got a leadership of 10. 7 minus 2 is an 8 or less, so they stay in combat. Alright, let's do the combat down here. Chargers first again, but the pipe block will get all ranks to fight, because you can defend in up to 4 ranks deep. And they are stationary as opposed to the Covenanters who charged in this time. Again, will be 4s and 4s. Wow, that's a staggeringly good roll. At least it looks it. Oh, not quite so good, but still pretty impressive. Well above average. And then 4s to wound. Alright, 3 dead Montrose troopers. 3 less to fight back from that pipe block. Okay, Montrose fighting back. 4s and 4s. Pretty average, I would say. Still quite a few wound rolls to make. 1, 2, 3, exactly the same. 3 dead Covenanters. Due to the depth of the rank bonus, and we've got +3 on our rank bonus, Covenanters have only got a +1 on their rank bonus, so even if the Covenanters outnumber us, they still lose by at least 1. A 6 on a trained unit, they stay in combat. Right, vicious fighting going on all across the line. This really is the crunch stage of the battle. It's time for Montrose to take its turn. I think it'll be pretty much hand-to-hand combat continuing everywhere. Okay, so no firing at all from Montrose. We've simply turned around our dragoons, so they're facing in the right direction on this flank. Our Highland clan right out on the far right continues to advance to put pressure precisely on the dragoons that are immediately to their front. Couldn't charge them because of the woods. Our pike block here is now engaged and charged into combat with the flank of that commanded shot down there, or sleeve of shot. Otherwise, fighting continues everywhere. Let's start with the combat. We'll go from left to right. Okay, so the clan's leaders here fight first. 3 attacks. 2 hits, and then it'll be 2s to kill using their double-handed weapons. And kill 2 lancers. Next, the lancers get to fight. Okay, so the lancers are expending the last of their pistol ammunition, but fighting first with their normal weapons, so they will need 4s to hit. Pretty good roll. And then 4s to kill. 2 kills so far. 2 kills, not a 4. So I'll put down there. And then pistol shots. Again, pretty good roll. 3 hits, 4s to hit. 1 more kill. So that's 3 kills against the Highlanders. Highlanders lose 3 other models from their front rank, which means they get no further attacks back. Alright, so the Highlanders killed 2. The Lancers killed 3, so they lose by 1, but they've got a rank bonus and they outnumber, so they win by 1. So this will be a leadership test at -1. They stay in combat. Alright, this fight continues. Alright, now we're in push of pike. Let's do the Strathbogy Regiment. All figures on both sides can now fight. So, combat simultaneous as they have the same initiative. Wow, that's pretty great for the Strathbogy. That's all those hits and then 4s to kill. 1, 2, 3, 4. It evens out. It often does with this many dice. So that's 4 dead to the Covenanters. Covenanters will now fight back. This is when the depth of the pike block really starts to have an impact, so many less attacks by the Covenanters. I am rolling for the casualties I have just taken off though. Don't fear. Oh, again, a pretty good roll. Well above average there for the Covenanters. Let's see whether, again, this one evens out. 4s to kill. Wow. Far better. 7 casualties on the Covenanters. They've won the combat by 3. Okay, so bad news for Strathbogy. They've got no extra ranks. Did think they'd won that one when before we rolled that brilliant dice roll for the Covenanters. They really were inspired there. So this is a leadership test at -4 because they are also outnumbered. They have got James Graham's leadership to use. Let's see how they do. They need a 6 or less to stand. They're all a 9. They fail. They break. They flee 6, but they are not caught. Alright. So Montrose has to take a leadership test on himself. He is fine. His small unit of musketeers with him also has to take a test. They are fine, and all other units are fine as they outnumber the Strathbogy Regiment by at least 2 to 1. so no risks for them. Alright, let's do this combat down here with the Pikemen and the Musketeers. Again, this is looking good for the Covenanters. Again, fighting will be simultaneous. Covenanters needing 4s to hit. Okay, 4 hits. And then 4s to kill. Wow, 4 more dead Montrose rebels. They get 3 attacks back. They hit once and don't do anything. They lose by 4 and are outnumbered by 5. They fail. They flee. Montrose might well get caught. They flee 9. And they're not caught, but they don't recover because they only have 1 figure left. And they pursue 8 into Montrose. Okay, fighting with the Irish. They charge this turn. They get, actually they don't get all those attacks, they only get 5 attacks. Hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. 1 dead Musketeer. Then the rest of their Musketeers doing pretty well. And then killing on 4s. Wow, that's pretty good for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more dead Covenanters. Okay, and now the Covenanters striking back, needing 4s to hit. Wow, if you can roll 6s and get a bonus, that would be pretty good. Okay, and then 5s to wound. Not so good. No wounds. Lose by 6. This looks like it's pretty much the end of this force. 11, yeah, they break, and the commander shot breaks as well. So the main regiment goes 7, and the Highlanders, and the Irish go 11 and capture them, and the other one goes 6, and the pike block only goes 5. Alright, we'll move those. Okay, so now we'll take a break test against this unit. 6, they stand unfortunately for Montrose. Let's just check the ranges and measure what else has to take a break test. This is where we are at the end of turn 4. Just going to take a break, have our lunch. So we've still got locked in combat, but gradually wishing away the lancers on that front. We've lost 2 Covenanter regiments in the centre, which is bad news. But Graham himself is in real trouble, having been charged by that pike block, and this is indeed the Covenanters' turn. So we'll move on and do turn 5 in a minute. Okay, moving on with turn 5. Firstly, it'll be charges for the Covenanters with hatred, so I'll be re-rolling misses for these Irish Musketeers that are in action. We've still got the Irish pike blocks to bring into play. Over here, the Covenanter Dragoons continue to be elusive and have moved through that wood now and away from this Highlander regiment, which is pretty much out of the action. And this flank is just still pretty secure, held by this small unit of commanded shot for the Covenanters. So pretty close. We're going to go up and play till turn 6, and we'll do that as dusk. So we'll see where the battle's got to then, if it's not abundantly clear. Right, let's go on and do hand-to-hand, do shooting, then hand-to-hand combat in turn 5 for the Covenanters. Okay, we'll start here first. Fights against Montrose. Let's see how we can do. So we have 1 Musketeer and 4 Pikemen, and the leader. They will all be hitting on 4s. That one was knocked over, but I guess we just lay the dice fall where they fall. So that's 3 hits. This will be 5 to wound. No wounds against Montrose. He gets to fight back. That's 3 hits by him. And 3 to wound, I would imagine. No wounds. He loses by 1. So take a break test at -1. Which he fails. He flees. 3d6. My god, we might lose our general off table. He doesn't. He goes 7. He'll be behind his own unit. Let's see how far the pikemen charge. They go 8. They capture and kill him and crash into that Highlander unit. That was dramatic. Okay, so with the best death of Montrose, or at least his unhorsing and his loss on the battlefield, everything has to take a leadership test. We will start with our Highlanders on the left flank. 7, they pass. Our Highland shot. 9, they fail. They flee 5 inches. Just lost knocked over. Some pikemen, always a risk when you have all these strong metal planks. Right, this Highland unit in the centre passes on a 6. Our Irish pass on a 7. Our second unit of Irish passes on an 8. And our Irish Dragoons fail. Oh no, I think we've possibly lost the Irish Dragoons. Not necessarily. They go 7. So they will not be off table. And then our final unit of Highlanders over in the far corner, they pass as well. Let's just move those fleeing troops. Okay, so continuing with our hand-to-hand combat then. On the far flank, the Highland gentlemen fight first. They will be hitting on 3s. That's 1 hit and killing on a 2. Yep, that's 1 casualty to the Lancers. The Lancers have got 5 figures there, so they'll be down to 4. Plus 1 for the leader. No pistol shots this time because they've used up all that ammo. Pretty good. They've hit with 4 of them. And then 4s to wound. 1 wound on the rabble. There's 1 wound on each side at the moment. And then we'll fight back with the rabble. So we've only lost 1 guy this turn, so we get 1, 2, 3 rabble. 1 of them is dead. 4s to hit, both hit. 4s to wound. No wounds. But the Highlanders win. They win by 2 because of their rank and they outnumber the Lancers. Let's see if the Lancers can hang on. 8, they don't. They finally break. Right, the Lancers flee. 10. The Highlanders pursue 9. Alright, we'll just take those casualties off and move those figures. Right, so the Lancers have been defeated, so this unit here has to take a break test as well. 5. They are fine, they stand. Okay, let's move into the combat between the Highlanders and this charging veteran regiment. Okay, Covenanters go first as they're charging. They need 4s. Going against Highlanders, they need 3s to hit. Okay. And it'll be strength 3, toughness 3, so 4s to wound. That's 4 wounds against the Highlanders. Alright, let's see how the Highlanders can do fighting back. Okay, so the Highlanders will simply get their leader and standard as all the other minor characters in the front rank have been killed and impaled on those pikes. They all hit, it'll be 2s to kill. Alright, that's 2 kills, so the pike block are up by 2. Unfortunately for the attacking pike block, they have no ranks in that unit, and their supporting musketeers are more than 2 inches away, so they can't contribute their rank. And the Highlanders still have 2 ranks, even if you take 4 off the back. And the Highlanders will outnumber as well. So the Highlanders win by 1, so that'll be a test at -1 for the Covenanters. They stand. The fighting continues. Okay, and finally the Irish. They will now attack. They have hatred, so they'll be re-rolling misses. They go first as they charged. Okay, so they did well, but they only caused 2 casualties because they're only attacking with 4 figures. The pikes get an enormous number of attacks back. Alright, they will be hitting on 4s because they are raw, and the Irish are veterans. And then it'll be 5 to wound, but plenty of attacks. Well, yeah, that's good. That's 5 dead Irish. The Irish win that combat by 3 plus ranks. They will be having to take a break test. Okay, so somewhat amazingly, the Irish will stand because they are stubborn troops. So although they will fail that test almost inevitably, having lost by so many, with so many ranks against them, the battle will carry on for a second round. Right, that's it for turn 5. Let's start turn 6, and we've got some rally tests for the Covenanters. Firstly, our commanded shot fails, and they will almost certainly flee off the table. They do. More importantly, our Irish Dragoons, they pass. They can rally. Okay, turn 5, not much movement now. Both sides are pretty exhausted, so the Irish clan, still in amongst the hills up here, has turned to face the Covenanter cavalry to make sure if it does get charged, it's not going to get charged in the flank this turn. As we move across, the Highlanders here are engaged with these Covenanters. They may get hit in the flank this turn, but there's not much they can do about that. They'll rely on trying to win that combat. The Irish have continued to push forward. Their pike blocks are in good shape, and they have used one of their small units, commanded shot, to charge into the flank of these raw troops here. They may have to take a leadership test being charged in the flank as you raw troops. And we have reformed our Highlanders, not Highlanders, our Irish Dragoons, again to protect the flank. And over on the far flank, I think I haven't moved them. I will move my Highlanders forward to try and get into the opponent's table quarter as we are nearly on the final turn of the game. Alright, so there's no firing by Montrose and what's left of his forces, so the clansmen will start with the hand-to-hand combat down here. They have the initiative with their leaders. Okay, it'll be 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Wow, that's pretty disappointing because they're the ones that kill on 2. Alright, it'll now be the pikemen to fight back. It'll be 6 attacks, plus 1 for the leader, 7 attacks, needing 4s to hit. Good roll. And 4s to wound. Pretty good. 2 wounded. So that will mean no more attacks back by the Highlanders. But the Highlanders still have 2 ranks and outnumber. So they win that combat by 1. And the veterans, they are the veterans, have rolled a 9. -1. They will break. Let's see how far they go. They go 6, and we pursue 6, so we potentially catch them. I've got a feeling veterans may also be stubborn. Let me just check that. No, they're not stubborn, but they do get, once a game, an ability to re-roll a failed leadership test. So we're giving it a go now. We need less than an 8. They stand. That's a good result for the Covenanters. Alright. Let's move down here for the charge by the Irish. 3 attacks for our chargers, re-rolling misses. Before we do that, I will keep those, so we had 1 hit. I'm just going to check see if it'll take a panic test for being charged in the flank. Yes, indeed, this unit does have to take a panic test. It needs to, if it is engaged in the combat to the front, which it is, and charged by a unit in the flank of more than 5 models, and there are more than 5, there are 6 Irish going into the flank. This is a panic test. They can use their minister's leadership, which is, I think, 8 or 10. Let's see what we get. We get a 7. Base leadership for a raw unit is 6, but I think that will be a pass because of the minister. Their leadership is 8. He inspires them with his brave words. Alright, so let's go back to our attacks. So that was 1 hit, but we do get to re-roll because we hate ministers, especially when they pass leadership tests. That's 3 hits. Then it'll be 4s to kill. Yeah, that's 4 killed Covenanters by my charging unit. Now my charging Irish for the front also have a higher initiative than the pike block, so they get to find that next. 1 miss, 1 hit, reroll, still, and then a 4 to do a wound. That's a 5th casualty against the pike block. Okay, so the pike block fights back, needing 4s to hit rather. Take away the 1s, 2s and 3s. Pretty average die roll, and then we need 5s to cause wounds against the Irish. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds against the Irish. I think that's 5 on each side. Alright, let's work out this combat. Okay, so both sides caused 5 casualties, and my unit on the flank no longer has more than 5 figures in it, because all the casualties were struck against the flank unit. So that means that the pike block wins by 2. 1 for the 2 for the ranks, plus 1 for the standard, 3, and 1 more for outnumbering, 4. So it wins by 4. So the Irish have to test at -4. The Irish break. Nothing else will take a test because that's such a small unit. Everything else is outnumbered by it, and indeed those Irish units will now disperse as they are of insufficient size to carry on fighting, and the pikes will charge forward 10 inches, wow, into some more Irish. Right, this is it. This is turn 6, last turn for the Covenanters. They're in pretty good table position, but we'll see how this one goes, whether they manage to hang on in there. Let's do movement and charges for the Covenanters. Okay, so not a huge amount of movement. The small remnant Pike Regiment is charged into the flank of this clan, so we've got 2 small Pike Regiments fighting this clan. In the centre, our pursuing regiment has gone into that unit of commanded shot. None of the musketeers have charged in as well, because those units of pike are still very much full strength for the Irish, so we're going to volley and see if we can get to break them with our salvo fire. And up here there's just be some more firing by the Covenanters. Right, let's do the firing. Turn 6. Okay, 8 shots from these commanded shot against this pike block. They need, this is their first turn of firing, so they will need, these are raw troops, so they'll need 5s normally, 4s for first turn. 3 hits, and then to wound, it'll be 4s. 2 wounds against the Irish so far. That will be a salvo test. Firing the 4 musketeers in this unit. They won't salvo because they moved to clear the firing lane for this one, so that'll just be 4 shots. Needing 4s, 5s rather, and 1 more killed against the Irish. And then this unit, which will also salvo, will fire 8 shots. Needing 5s. This one also is its first turn of firing. That's 4s against the Irish. Pretty good shooting. 5s to wound. Just 2 wounds, 2 more killed against the Irish. That is 5 against a unit of 16, so it's multiple panic and break tests. That'll be their firing. And then this unit down here will fire at long range. So this will be 5s against that smaller Irish unit. 1 hit, doesn't wound. We'll then see if we can break this clan up here with a volley from these guys. They will be doing a salvo. And we'll just check the range to see if they are in salvo range. They're not in salvo range, so normally it'd be 5. It's over half range, 6s. It's actually 7s, but that's, I'll work on the basis 6s always hit. Doesn't matter, no hits, so no impact from them. And then finally, we'll fire off 2 elements of ammunition from our dragoons. So that'll be 8 shots from the dragoons against the Irish dragoons. Again, trying to break them. They are 5s normally, it'll be 6s to hit. No hits. Alright, let's do the leadership test on the Irish, but remembering they're stubborn, so they will pass this irrespective. In fact, they automatically pass their first leadership test. So, do they take the salvo test and then the 25% casualties? Perhaps they do. So let's do the 25% casualty test. 12. Wow, they break. They fall back 4. Important to rally them at the end of this turn for the Irish. Okay, so we'll now fight this pike block against these Irish, the Irish shot. They will be needing 4s to hit. Well, another good roll. But 5s to wound. 1 wound against the Irish. Irish get to fight back. 2 guys fight back. 1 hits. 1 wounds. 1 dead pikeman. Alright. Okay, so that was 1 casualty on both sides. The Irish are within 2 inches of their supporting pike block. So they can count 2 ranks from that, and we can count 1 rank for the Covenanters. So the Covenanters will lose by 1 rank, and the Covenanters are also outnumbered. So it'll be a test at -2. We've got the Minister, so that'll be a 6 or less to stand. 5, remarkably, they stand. Right, that's it for Covenanters. Oh no! Covenanter combat over here. Let's do the attacks. The charging unit attacks first, needing 4s to hit. Again, pretty good, well above average, but then only 4s to wound against Highland Rebel. 4 wounds, good start for the Covenanters. Next to fight will be the Highland leadership. 3s to hit, 2s to kill, 2 dead pikemen. Right, the remaining pikemen can fight back. That's 5 attacks back. All hit, tremendous. 4s to wound. Wow! My gosh, I think the Covenanters are really putting it out. Another 5 casualties against the Highlanders. Okay, now a break test for these Highlanders. They are on -7, and they've got, yeah, they're going to go. Yeah, 10, they go. And they flee 5. The blue flags pursue 10, and they will get into the fleeing Irish, and the red flags only pursue 2. But they get in the way of one another. Blue flags I rolled first and they did go 10, so I will move them in. Okay, so the Highlanders, the Covenanters in the blue and the blue and red flags pursue 10. They're 5 inches away from the Irish, so the Irish get a flee move. They need to roll more than 5 or they will be caught by those charging Covenanters. They get a 10. They flee again, but 10 away from the enemy that's trying to charge them down. So the last action of the game will be the charge by this regiment of Irish who will go down fighting into the flank of this Covenanter unit. Let's do the charge result. 3s to hit, and 4s to kill. Okay, that's 5 dead so far. And then our 2 musketeers can fight as well. And they do get to re-roll because there are ministers in there. That's 2 more hits. And another one killed. And I missed at least 2 or 3 from the pike block, so I'll do 3 re-rolls. Hopefully that's about right. We get 2 more hits, but no more kills. That seems fair. Alright, so 6 dead against the pike block. The pikes get to fight only the one guy on the flank, and we killed 5 from the side, so no fights back from the pike block this turn. They've lost by 6. They don't get a flank bonus because they're hit by more than a rank bonus because they've been hit by a unit of more than 5 in the flank. So they lose by 6, 7, 8, and they are outnumbered 9. So even with that minister, they're going to be running. They fail. They flee 11, and the Irish pursue 10. So similar to the Irish, they then ran into their unit of own musketeers. They had to stop, and therefore the Irish ran them down. Now let's do the break tests for these other units, see if they're fleeing. This commando shotgun here flees. Okay, it doesn't really matter, because they are fleeing at the end of the game. Don't quite go off table. Right, this unit over here, 7. They were standard, so they stand. This unit of commanded shotgun here, they stand. This unit of commanded shotgun here, they stand. Let's just check where our veterans are. Okay, so tough one to call. Certainly Montrose has not won the battle, but he has caused very substantial casualties on the Covenanter forces. As you can see, we've still got pretty much, pretty good strength Highland clan on this rocky hill, probably able to withdraw up into the Highlands. We have the Irish Brigade, at least 1 pike block, and we were very close to a 2nd pike block surviving in the centre, and the opposing units of pike are pretty much untenable, the small ones, and 1 unit of levy pike still in good state. And if we look across to this side, stalemate really. We've got another full strength Highland clan up here, and the Dragoons operating for the Covenanters and their small unit of commanded shot. We still have the Irish Dragoons over here. So perhaps both sides will just withdraw to lick their wounds, but I have been through the points, and that destruction of that, surprising destruction of that Irish Brigade pike block swung it. So the Covenanters caused about 700 points worth of casualties on the Montrose forces, and Montrose only caused 500 points. So they're up by about 200. Importantly, Montrose also died, so that increases the gap to 300. If we look at table quarters, actually no one controls any table quarters. The far right table quarter has the mounted Irish in it, but we still have a unit of Covenanter skirmish dragoons occupying the hills. This table quarter here has the Highland clan in it and the commanded shots for the Covenanters. In the centre we have another Scottish clan over there and a large number of Covenanter units in that quarter. And in the final back left quarter, the Irish here are just over the halfway point of the table and are in the left-hand table quarter. So that charge at the end at least pushed that table quarter in their direction. But anyway, all in all, the Covenanters, I think, hold the plain, and Montrose withdraws back into the Highlands to lick his wounds and has suffered pretty devastating losses to his critical Irish brigade, losing no less than half his pikemen and pretty much all of his shot. So probably 3/4 of the Irish forces have been casualties. They're irreplaceable. The forces of the Covenants and the Scottish government are in far better position to reap the benefits of this victory. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the game. We'll just have to do one final flyby of the table. And think about what we're going to play next time. Cheers. Remember, if you enjoyed the videos, please subscribe. Let us know any comments you've got. Let us know what sort of game you'd like to see next. And look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye everyone.